a couple of other coming up. You do support us in the Jamboree event. That is in May. The Jamboree event is going as planned. It's been successful for us in the past. One thing I will mention to you, last year we had a basketball tournament. That basketball tournament's been expanded to a national tournament. So we're looking at bringing about 80 teams in. If it goes according to plan, and there's no reason not to think that it won't, we're real excited about the tournament. We've also will be offering a sanctioned USTA tennis tournament. That's something we have not done in the past. We had to send some folks to some trainings to get qualified, but a sanctioned USTA tournament will be competing with a lot of the other racket clubs and tennis clubs in the area to bring those players in and to provide that sort of tournament on our tennis courts. We're very proud of our tennis courts, so we're real happy about that. We're also looking at, obviously, entertainment and bringing in some folks with the Jamboree. And I will go ahead and mention, if you haven't heard of pickleball, we have a pickleball tournament coming up in a few weeks, and we have exceeded our expectations, and we have 125 players coming. They are coming from everywhere from Delaware to Maryland, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia. Hickory has a huge following. So yeah, our pickleball is pretty popular. So we're real excited about that. That is coming up March 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's actually a 3-day tournament. So they'll be coming in for that. But that's the long and short of it. I wanted to update you. Is there anything I missed?
No, you did well. She will have the formal report here in a short while that we'll give to you. This flash report's the first thing that we get out, and so this is what we've done. And of course, we feel like we've lost a month and some other things that have happened outside of this room, but that's the matter.
Oh, and I did want to mention, in looking at the Winterfest and how we can bring people in the night before and add on that component, the staff is exploring all sorts of new and different ideas. We have really looked at trying not to duplicate maybe other snowball tournaments or any other runs in the area, but bring something in that will attract people from outside areas to come into town, stay in our hotels, and obviously eat in our restaurants, and then stay for the festival the next day. So we are looking at that. I have all expectations that we'll be adding something this upcoming year. So I don't know quite what yet it'll be, but it'll be fun, it'll be creative, and it'll be different for the community. I'm pretty sure I'm comfortable with that. So I didn't want to forget that one.
Thank you very much, Susan. Any questions, board member? Susan, on your tennis tournament?
Yes.
What's the age?
Well, actually, we are able to start with youth and up. Real neat thing we learned with USTA is that if high schoolers play, and they're already a member of USTA, they can play for free. They get a voucher from USTA, so we're expecting a very large high school crowd in addition to the adults. I don't know how many younger ones we'll get, maybe some middle schoolers, but we're expecting a nice size group of high schoolers because they'll get to play for free from the voucher they get from USTA.
Any other questions?
Just one other. Susan,
sure.
As far as the basketball tournament, is it 3-on-3 or what type of tournament?
I don't believe it's 3-on-3.
5-on-5.
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 Thank you.
Okay, and the age group?
I believe he starts at 9 up. Could
You
be.
can fit in there, right?
Cut off.
What are the dates for the May tournament?
May 3rd. Well, they'll actually come in on Friday, and they'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Jamboree is...
The hotels have already received an RFP from
Right.
Tom Kaiser, so you guys already received that bid.
Yeah.
Teresa?
Are there any plans to do an outdoor pickleball court? I know you have indoor.
Not at this time. What we did on our outdoor courts now is we did tape it off. I mean, we have the lines painted, and they do play out there, but it's not a designated pickleball court per se. They play, the hardcore ones go out there and play when we have to use the facility for something else, but they can play outside on those courts, commons.
Well, Susan, thank you so much. Any other questions? I know that day was a tough day. It was cold and wet.
It was chilly.
That didn't play in your favor. So
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for the
thank you.
report. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your support.
Next on our presentations is Dr. Wilbert Kane. He's going to give us a presentation on jazz in the city. Welcome, Mr. Kane.
Thank you.
And we don't have a video of this one. We had some pictures out there, but we're not able to show those right now. But he's got a report he's going to give to you.
Great.
So if you'll just hit the right button.
Right, good.
Keep going. There you go.
I'm very happy to be with you today to talk, really to present our after action report to you from the Jacksonville Jazz Coalition. Jacksonville Jazz Coalition was formed by two groups here in our community, the local chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, as well as the local chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Our mission is to increase live jazz events in the Jacksonville, North Carolina community. On the 2nd of November, we presented our second jazz concert. Ms. Pamela Williams was our headliner, and we led off the event with the Frog Project and Miss Melba Houston. The event was at the North Side High School Auditorium, and that served as the venue for this concert. We had a reception immediately after the concert, and the idea behind this reception was to encourage overnight stays. The reception was held at the Home 2 Suites. This event was sponsored by an $18,000 grant from the Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority, and we also obtained $12,000 in grant funds from the Onslow Council of the Arts. This slide is to tell you how the money was spent. These are grant funds that we obtained from the Tourism Authority, and you can see that it was a total of $19,000 was used to put on this event. We had additional expenses and of $4,970, and this slide outlines what those expenses were. Income. We brought in $8,080 from advanced ticket sales, $594 from PayPal. Door receipts generated $630, and we were able to obtain private sponsorships, and that totaled $2,070 for a total of $11,374. If we look at demographics, we had 230 people approximately to attend the event. The ages ranged from 11 to 80, with an average age of 50. 70% were African American, 30% Caucasian. Advertisement was by media, internet, newspapers, save-the-date cards, posters, and roadside banners. We did a survey at the door at the concert to determine how people found out about the event, and for us, 83 people found out by personal contact. Heads on bids. We had 2 entertainers to stay in the Home 2 Suites for 2 nights. 2 entertainers stayed in the Hampton Inn for 2 nights each, and 2 attendees stayed in the affordable inns and suites for 1 night each. Some pictures of the event. People who attended this event really enjoyed it. The entertainers were great, and Miss Williams was just absolutely outstanding. We want to bring back Pamela Williams next year, not just because she's a great entertainer, but because she's also a jazz teacher. And one of the things we want to do is host a jazz workshop for high school students the morning of the event. We wanted to do that this year, but there was a conflict. We didn't realize, but every year there's a marching band competition that occurs on the first weekend in November, and our high schools participate in that event. So we're going to move our event to the 15th, the 3rd weekend in November, and hopefully that will not create a conflict with the high school kids, and because we want the high school kids to participate, and not only that, we want a high school band to lead off our event, and we think that would be great. Noted earlier, this year we were able to obtain some private sponsorship. We're working aggressively this year to obtain more private sponsorship to try to make this event self-sufficient. But that's our goal. On behalf of the Jacksonville Jazz Coalition and its parent organizations, the Phi Lambda Lambda chapter of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and the Jacksonville, North Carolina alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. We want to thank you for your support. Do you have any questions for me?
How did you get Miss Houston for $100?
No. We had that was
That's just the portion you paid for from those funds.
that's the portions that came out of
tourism?
out of the tourism funds, and then we paid the rest of that's how the grant funds were used. But then
Okay.
the additional expenses, Melva Houston, the $300 that we paid her too.
I was just curious.
That would have been a great deal.
Yeah, it would have. That would have been a donation on her part.
It certainly would.
Any other questions, Dr. Kane?
I do. How did Northside School work for you?
Oh,
guys?
that auditorium is
Was it
fantastic.
good?
People commented about acoustics in that auditorium. It's like a professional, arena. So yeah, it worked great for us.
Anyone else? Dr. Kane, thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate you being here with us today, and we look forward to the continued growth of the event.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to ask Ashley Backer. I'm sorry.
I know, I'm not even gonna get in trouble for saying that. I hope he's not watching.
Ashley is our Sports Commission Director, Executive Director. Ashley, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to come in and give you guys an idea of what's going on in the sports world, what it's doing for the economic impact for our community. And I'm going to be referring to a July 1 of 2012 to January 31st, 2013, and then the same thing for the 13-14 fiscal year. So we're really matching time frames. Going strictly off of economic impact, in 2012-13, we had up to that point in time $951,000 in economic impact. As of this year, we're at $1,382,847. So we saw a 31% increase. We're a little under $229,000 to hit last year's number. That's going to be easily achieved with the Jacksonville Jamboree and the Marine Federal Golf Intercollegiate Golf Tournament. We still have 17 more events. We have 4 more basketball tournaments. We've got a very large President's Cup weekend with soccer coming in, so I feel pretty confident that we are going to be over the 2 million mark with sports being an economic driver in Onslow County and Jacksonville. Event growth, I'm very pleased to say that we've increased by 15 events, same time frame, so 39 events this year, 24 events last year. The best part about this, and what I thought was probably the most interesting and the best news, 10 of those 15 events were first times, or we haven't hosted them in the past 2 years. So the Kepner Cup in November was brand new. We haven't hosted that in the last 3 to 4 years, so that was counted. A lot of our runs were first-time events. We've had Paddle Fest out in Swansboro, so we have some really great people in our community doing some wonderful things for us and for the hotels and the restaurants and the other businesses in the community. The one thing I am missing, and it's just through a little bit of lack of data on the room nights that were generated, but so far we've generated over 1,500 room nights through sport. On the horizon, as Susan said, we're obviously hosting a national basketball tournament. We've got AAU that's hosting 2 invitationals. They have to do that in order to host a regional or be considered as a national venue. So they're doing their part to make sure that they follow the steps so that we can increase the growth. There is talks right now about a potential Region 3 high school wrestling championship in 2015, and that's going to be a partnership between the Sports Commission, the city, county, school system, and base, since the Fieldhouse has the largest venue for that. Teresa has was able to get a really great lead for a potential obstacle course run, but we have found a parcel of land, so we'll be pushing that out. We're looking at sprint triathlons. We've got color runs that are very interested, and we're kind of in that final phase of contracting and being able to release all the information on that to the public. A little bit, probably our only bad news is we're just lacking facilities. That hasn't changed from the last time I was here. There are communities in North Carolina. Goldsboro is about to start up on their $13.1 million indoor facility. Greensboro's got the Sportsplex. Raleigh's got a ton of facilities. Wilmington, Fayetteville. A lot of the markets that we would be in direct competition with either have those facilities or updating those facilities or are in the process of getting ready to build those facilities. We're a little behind in terms of that one piece. We're ahead of the game on everything else. We have wonderful hotels. We have Home2 that's been, has gained recognition from their brand. Hampton is doing their part. Hampton Inn in Swansboro is a national award winner. Rick Young with Suburban and Mainstay. We have hotels that are doing their part. We have restaurants that are doing their part in making sure the city's done a great job in recruiting Panera's and Chewy's and Noodle Company and places that a lot of these teams and these athletes want to be in prior to post-competition. It really is just the facilities that we're lacking. Great news, though, is once kind of everything does come together, I was talking to Teresa recently, and I'm amazed at how we are now being considered a premier destination. People that laughed in my face a year ago saying that we didn't have the population size to handle that type of event are now looking at us and saying, okay, population, you may not be there, but expendable paychecks, you guys definitely have. And you have a very active community, and we're realizing that now, and we realize that we need to come in there and we need to be in your community. And you also have the destination side of it as well. So it's a lot of really, really great news. We just have still that one little piece that's missing, but it's not all doom and gloom. I'm so proud of what we've been doing so far, and the support that county and city have given has been absolutely phenomenal. So that's my report.
Thank you, Ashley. If I may lead the questions off, when you talk about a sportsplex or lacking facility, what sort of in a sportsplex, what would you be looking for? What do you think is lacking? Is it ball fields? Is it
we are not
gymnasiums?
We're not lacking outdoor. We're lacking indoor. We're lacking a 4 to 6 court facility right now with the Jamboree. It's going to be tight with those 80 teams going into the Commons with 2 courts, the Commons Middle School and Northside High School. The Commons, even when we have that type of event, lacks seating, so that kind of hinders a little bit of what they're able to do. Having something that has that many courts obviously allows tournaments of that nature, indoor soccer, basketball, volleyball, badminton would be a huge one because you can fit 4 badminton courts in 1 basketball court. Those can grow, but then also in that facility with high enough ceilings, then you have the opportunity to do dance and cheerleading, which are big money sports. Those people pay to come into your community, and they take care of that community really, really well. We're looking for more court space. We're going to be looking for locker rooms, because right now that's why we can't put anything at the Commons. As far as, even shifting the holiday basketball tournament out of one of the schools and into the Commons, they don't have locker rooms to accommodate the teams. So locker room space, meeting space, I'm not talking thousands of square feet, but having a room large enough to accommodate 30 people and having multiple rooms would allow us to host official clinics, would allow us to host even down to small expos or sporting events, an AAU or a USSSA, an ASA convention on the state level. And then obviously the chance to expand I think is always prudent to make sure that we at least have that opportunity to expand.
Thank you. Any questions, members? Anyone?
Just one, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as sportsplex, that concept is just great. You mentioned some cities that have the sportsplex in them. Could you name those cities again?
Greensboro has probably one of the better ones with the Greensboro Sportsplex. Asheville has an indoor facility. I cannot remember the name right off the top of my head. They actually have 2 indoor facilities. One would be the perfect size for us. Charlotte, Raleigh, obviously much larger, so we could probably scale back from what they have. Rocky Mount has a great facility.
Rocky Mount?
Fayetteville has great facilities, and then Goldsboro's in the process of building their facility, and Gatlinburg, Tennessee is also in the process of building.
Is swimming, are those included?
Oh, it's funny. We've had a couple of people ask me about swimming. The Greensboro Aquatic Center, they actually lose money on that venue every single year. It's a hard venue to, and even with them hosting Olympic trials and USA championships and things of that nature, it's still just very difficult to keep filled and make sure that it's continuously making money. Otherwise, you're really committing to swimming being one of your sports that you want to push, and and you're okay with losing money on that, knowing that you'll make it in on the hotels. Honestly, I don't see that being a huge hit for us.
Thank you.
And you know, this trend has been going on for years. These sportsplexes and these larger facilities, and a lot of communities have taken, you know, the risk on spending some money on them, and the returns have been astronomical. I mean, because what better economic development than to get massive tournaments in your community that eat, that buy gas, that put their heads on a bed somewhere, and that's guaranteed. You know, I know we traveled for soccer for I don't know how many years, and there's no telling how much we've spent. And, you know, and you can multiply that by how many hundreds of thousands of families. And here in our community, I think is probably one of the biggest economic generators of.
And Teresa and I have been doing a lot of great talking, you know, doing lunch meetings and things of that nature, trying to figure out what is that fine line? What can we do to where whatever sportsplex, if that's going to be what is built, how can we then transition it to where we can do military homecomings? She can do DMA&C state meetings here. We can do balls. How can we make it to where it then keeps some of the other events that maybe we shift out or we can't host here? There is that cross fit between both. So,
would a facility like what you're discussing be able to house like a concert or something? I mean, considering the young demographic that we have here, you know, things that they would pay for tickets for, or, you know, even shift in from other places. I mean, I've driven hours to go to concerts, and then you have to stay the night. You know, something like a major
Teresa and I have been
band.
talking about that. The great thing about some of the, you know, what I would love to see is that upper deck seating, so that it does allow, you can have floor seating. If you need to take away, then there's the stage. It allows floor seating. You have the upper deck that can be used, and then it does lend itself very well to concerts, bigger conventions.
Something I've noticed too, if I may, traveling, my daughter is volleyball traveling team. They do charge us sometimes. I mean, it was a 3-day, of course, Myrtle Beach, but it was like $15 a day. You know, to the
volleyball
parents.
is huge.
So we have 2 parents, you know, a couple sisters, and you know, so and
And
plus
we're
all
not
the
able
venues
to.
inside.
We're not able to take advantage of the volleyball because of the lack.
We don't have enough courts.
That is a huge sport. Big money maker.
And also with the Commons being really our only indoor facility, we're limited on how much we can charge, because when you go into those school system facilities, they have a little bit of a iffiness on charging admission for those events. So you'll find that the Jamboree in the East Coast will actually charge at the Commons an all tournament pass or session, and then that allows people to go into those other facilities and they're not charging there. But even allowing those people to make that money to help either next year's event or whatever it may be, that's limited because of our facility space and the rules on those facilities.
Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. Your message is well heard, and we'll keep working here.
Thank
you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to strategic work with the authority. Glenn, would you like to?
We just want to let you.
Phone?
We want to give you a verbal on a couple of things there, just on the lines of flash reports. You'll see here in lieu of a presentation, you have a flash report from the Extreme Endurance Challenge that was held 2 weekends ago, and you'll certainly see in there that the highlights of this is that they had 708 registered runners, and they got about 20% of the runners responded to this. You'll see how they found out about things. But what is noteworthy in here are those cities that were the top 5 cities, and clearly they have indicated that they have not had people coming from Raleigh and Charlotte previously, and that was, if you recall, you paid for a team that basically goes to races in those communities and seeds. If they're already attending the race, they pass out race cards to them, and there you see the result. And so hopefully, as I understand it, people register for these races sometimes a year in advance. So now in this year, hopefully you're going to see even more results of this action in years to come. And on the second page, you'll notice that as the economic impact, just among those who were surveyed, the runner and the economic impact run out to be around $2,000 of that 20%. So if you expand that to the total runner, the total impact, that in of itself was about a $10,000 return on investment there as it was. So that's proceeded to you. You'll remember there's 8 races in all in this series there, so that is there. The next one's coming up is the St. Paddy's Day race there as it was. On to the matter there, I've asked Teresa Beecham to speak to you a few moments about some things that we've been working on with the staff on for tourism promotion, and she's got a few things to show you and say to you.
Okay, Teresa.
Thank you. I thought I would just share these with you. We have completed the Vietnam Veterans. The Montfort Point. I'm sorry, I got them on my brain too. The Montfort Point project, the print design that we did for them that you guys supported them with, and these are some of their final. This is the final.
This is more of their case statement and solicitation.
It's just I kind of wanted to let everybody just take a look. We don't have enough of the run over on the print, so I just thought I'd pass them around and let everybody take a look at a couple the last 2 that we've done. Currently, Glenn and I'm working diligently with the Bridal Expo, which is coming up next weekend. That's looking pretty good. They've gotten quite a few vendors. We're almost on target for that, so Dawn has done a great job with that. So I'm sure that you'll hear good things from her, and she appreciates the support. The art block was something new that you guys are funding, and we are working with Connie to get that put together pretty quickly. That sounds like a really, really cool event that has a lot of potential. And the Jamboree, we're working on that right now. Media buys are being placed, and things are coming together nicely for the Jamboree.
Okay.
And in your report, I forgot to mention this when I was mentioning about the Grand Prix. In your report is the overall on that. This one was just the one that was most recent that we just received this week on that. And I think that one of the things that's talking about with the art block being new, we did lose one, and in your agenda packet we have received a formal notice from Bold that they will not be doing the Sculpture Festival. So those funds are released in that as it was. And we, at this point, we could actually, there are some of the other processes that are out there that we could add some more marketing money to. And what we'd like to ask you to consider is we might want to add a few more dollars to some marketing efforts for Jamboree and for Art Block and for a couple other things as we see. At this moment, we're not asking for it for Art Block, but the time on that one is April 26th, and so we're kind of moving up on that as it was. The other one is obviously Pat and Lee are here from Walker from the Vietnam Memorial Foundation, and they have set their celebration dinner, as she has reported to you before, for 7 o'clock March 21st, and then the rededication on that Saturday. And all of you are invited to attend. And I think it'll be a nice ceremony. That's it's going to be good there, and you'll see some familiar faces up there as part of the ceremony.
And if anybody here did not get an invitation, I apologize. The mail has literally done a number on us. People are just now getting invitations that were mailed out 2 weeks ago. But if you don't have one, let me know. I will give you one. And I had talked to Bill the first of the week, and he asked me if I would bring a picture as to where we're at, and I can pass this around. This was taken yesterday on the memorial, and as you can see, the top is just about completed. We're ready to put the green over covering over it. There's some work to be done underneath, but we're getting there.
I mean, a retirement. Those who want to see what the final color that is, there it is. That's my sample that you can pass around. That'll go on top of all the wood here.
What kind of material is it?
That material?
That's
Some metal.
It's similar to a metal roof.
Okay.
It's the durability's a little bit different than a regular house metal roof that you have.
But that's not metal, is it?
Yes, it is. It is metal. The other thing you'll find that is what they call, we were going to do copper, but because of the copper and the reflection of the sun and all the flying over top, we changed it. That was the reason we changed it. That is what they call a patina, and that's what copper would turn over time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what that is.
Right, all you have to do is
A
look
lot
at
less expensive.
superior court.
Yes, it is a lot less expensive because the copper we couldn't afford either.
Well,
Thank
there's
you,
a discussion with the base too on that because of the reflection off the copper to the
Well, certain
helicopters
times
and
it does.
planes that might have presented a problem.
Yeah.
Even hail will follow that.
Right.
Hurricane maybe.
Thank you so much for bringing it forward to us, and we look forward to the rededication, and hopefully everyone can attend. So thank you so much for joining us today.
And Teresa and Carmela, and we've been working with them on the ceremony and the promotion thereof. And of course, you previously did the promotion for their run. What's going on now is your funds are being used for that Friday night.
For the dinner.
The dinner is such there, and we're going to probably use some funds, if you give us permission to use some of those promotion funds. We might use some of those for some advanced publicity to the event to let some more local people know and doing some things such as that.
Okay.
So
We have a great committee. Great committee. Love it.
So with your permission, if you'd consider us to have, say, $5,000 that we can put to these different events as they come up, and we come up, say, a little short that we can add to it or so there, that'd be appreciated as it was there.
Board, you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
So moved. A second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now, just to be clear, this would come out of the Tourism Promotion Fund. You have those funds that were allocated to the Sculpture Festival, and with what you allocated to the art block, the total amount of that fund has not changed.
That's fine.
So
Thank you.
nothing moves from that. Toward the end of the continuation of the fund and the authority to accept applications, that's what we're asking you for today. And the question is, do you want to have it continued? And if you do, we think that there's been demonstration, as evidenced, I think, today. Some are still in their incubation stage. Some of them you can see what the potential is on your own accord there. But we think it has produced some heads on beds and has potential to do so. And we're asking if we can take applications now. If you recall, in the past, we kind of took them in the April time frame. We'd like to take them now, move this up, and actually the staff would like to move toward taking applications eventually in the October-November time frame so that we can do this. As we're finding out, you've got to promote these things, and I think my friends from the Chamber will agree, this is not a once done and done process. This is a continuous situation there, and we kind of got behind the 8 ball, and unfortunately with the Vietnam Memorial activities there, they really caught it being a September event after our fiscal year starts as it was. And then toward the end of that, are there any priorities you desire? Now, you know, we've heard from our lodging facility friends, obviously last time we wanted to have a priority for the December dip. I think that they might have an opinion now that they, you know, look for some help all through the year as such there as it is. And remember, we place a priority on funding sports activities through the Sports Commission, and we have a fund that you set aside that Ashley has ability to draw from to help promote sports types facilities and such, sports type activities, excuse me. And then we obviously make the direct grants primarily for marketing, and then that's where Teresa helps us out in that regard for activities. So this is a great time to talk about, are there priorities that you want us to deal with that we'll adjust the score for that moves to that end? And we would like to see if we could, our suggestion is that you do go forward with this, give us your priorities, and we'd like to take applications so that you could consider them at your meeting in April, that we could potentially award and do. And we need some time to do that, and so consequently we found last year that it really worked well when we met with the potential applicants before they turned in their application. And we were able to more completely understand, we were able to help guide you know, the will of the authority as to how you wish to have your money spent. And I think we hopefully brought to you a package of activities. Obviously, you only made some slight changes from that that met most of your expectations. And so, consequently, we're asking if you'll consider doing that. That would leave no, you know, pressing business for your March meeting, and you could actually cancel that session. There's 2 folks that we know won't be able to be there for that, but it would give us time to advance and to bring that back. So, Mr. Chair and the authority, I turn this over to your discussion as to those questions and that suggestion.
Thank you, Clay. I'll open up the floor for comments in regards to priorities. Is there any priorities, particularly from our representatives at the hotel industry, that you would like to talk about?
I would say giving priority to events that are going to generate heads on beds during our slowest months of the year. You know, end of October, November, December, January, February, just so we can, you know, balance the tax monies that, you know, we're lacking in those months.
Is there any, just brainstorming, and of course that's sort of the direction that we've been heading. Are there anything that you guys know of or see that we may be able to look at or target or to place some attention to that may help during those months? Obviously, sporting activities are your biggest draw during those times of the year because of the different various sports. You know, and we're definitely focusing on that. But is there anything else that you know of that we may have missed or have an opportunity in that we can look at?
I would say, you know, having events that are going to be more of an annual thing also being a priority, because especially during the, you know, those slow months is holiday time. People aren't trying to spend money on, you know, new things if they know that it's going to be great. Like, for instance, other cities have Festival of Lights or, you know, Christmas concerts or, you know, ballets, nutcrackers, that kind of thing that they know it's going to be great. You know, those are the types of things I'm finding that most families are spending money on, especially when it's time to buy Christmas presents and, you know, travel for the holidays. So it's something that's going to be an annual thing.
And I agree with you, and I think that sort of ties in with our, you know, our vision for the future for a, you know, a civic venue where we can host all these Marine Corps balls and things that we're missing out on that would have those overnight stays during those dip months, as I call it, the winter months, and so we're a few facilities short of having those immediate needs addressed. And, you know, I think that's what we've been we've been fighting that for quite some time, but it's significant. You know, your concert series, your all your base events that could be held here instead of New Bern, instead of Wilmington, and typically when they have those events, they're going to have rooms, booked. But that's an ongoing challenge that we're going to continue to work on. So, any other thoughts?
I think we definitely need to answer the question, do we wish to continue? I think we all say yes.
Oh, absolutely.
So that would be the first thing we need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the work that was done last year was very beneficial to our work as a board. So I would strongly suggest that we continue along those lines. And I think what I'm hearing Glenn say is that they want to make sure they have a timeline that they're able to accomplish all of their work and get it back to us in a timely manner. And I think that's what we need to strive for. And I would suggest continuing on that path, and I would also suggest seriously looking at canceling the March meeting so that they can get all of their stuff ready.
I have no issues with that, and I will add one other thing that I think is really part of our work as well, and we may consider adopting resolutions that we can forward to City Council, that we could forward to our county commissioners of the information that we're hearing from our partners. Example, Sports Commission, talking about what impact the Sportsplex would do for our community, and what impact a civic venue could do for our community. I think it's our duty and obligation to maybe adopt some of these resolutions and forward that to our elected body so that they know that we're doing our work and we're at least extending the message up the ladder, and obviously at their will be able to work at their level to move those things forward. I think it's important. So something that we should discuss.
Well, along those lines, when we get into some brainstorming, hearing what we need, I think this board, to the extent that it's possible, and I know the restraints that we have through the legislature and all of those, but I think we need to start putting some money in a capital fund to, if nothing else, have seed money to start down the road of building something. I mean, if Goldsboro can do it, we can do it. And that's no knock on Goldsboro. Don't misinterpret that. But what I'm saying is Goldsboro is a community that is our size, has a military installation, not as large as ours. And so if they're able to find the funding for an 18 million, was it 18 million?
13.
13 or 18?
No, I think it's 18. But they're also building us, right?
Well, whatever. I mean, this is a community that we should be competing with on an even keel. And so to the extent that we can, within our budget constraints, find money to put into a capital fund, I would strongly urge us to look at that and see if we can do that.
And we have to recognize it's an industry, and it's an industry for our community. So when we talk about economic development, when we talk about bringing industry to our community, it is an industry. Sports is a huge industry, and other communities that recognize that, and instead of wasting money on something they're never going to get, it's probably better to spend it on something that's going to have a return on your investment. Because if you build a sportsplex, chances are you're going to fill it up, particularly here. And we've demonstrated that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and until we establish a capital fund even at our level, it'll show that demonstrates what we're trying to do, and put it in a form of resolution is an outstanding start.
Well, I guess the first thing we need to do is look at the legislation and see if we're even able to do that. I don't even know if we are, but certainly if we are, if we can look at that, the act itself and see if that's possible, I think we ought to start moving in that direction.
John, is that something that
we can certainly look at it? Of course, as you recall, on the 1/3 money for capital, you pretty much, as I understand it, committed that.
We've committed.
That's what you would have to take it out of. So
unless we get it flipped.
If you get the flip, that's when you really need to have the serious conversation.
Thank you.
In my opinion.
Yes.
Okay, so Glenn, to answer your questions is, I think we're all in favor of canceling March and moving to the April meeting, giving you the opportunity to collect applications and do your review process going forward in April.
And as I heard, no one dissent from the priorities would be periods of time between October and February and events that can demonstrate that they have an annual. One quick question to go on that. Obviously, we chose some things in year one that were viewed as incubator type activities. They clearly score low when you talk about an annual event there. Are you still willing to consider incubator activities, or would you prefer a priority, or you want us just to bring you the list and let you all make that depending on what it is or such there?
I would say bring us the list. I don't think, speaking for myself, incubator doesn't bother me. I think that'll change and evolve, through the years. But yeah, I think that's part of what our mission is. But I would prefer to look at the entire list before.
Oh, you will get the whole list.
And some of these incubators are making progress.
Yeah.
I mean, Jazz in the City is a great example.
Well, I want to pay homage to what Ms. Thomas was speaking of there, is that, if we do have some events that are gaining an annual repertoire there that potentially could be expanded with some more of your funds as it is. We don't know that we can substantially increase the attendance, though, with a lot of with what we have to work with. And so at the point, if we continue encouraging them to do things that we are, to invoke those overnight stays, that's where we're really trying to use your money as leverage to make some events that are annual, that are run well, now have a component to them that encourages overnight stays. All right. Well, would you all consider making a motion then to authorize the staff and to create the Tourism Promotion Fund, subject to your final action that you would take, because nothing will be done until you adopt the budget. So, but that would give us the authority to go ahead and move forward to that event.
So moved. Have a second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On the matter of the community promotion, the community branding, there's been some pretty substantial progress, and we're anticipating by April to have some more things to talk to you about and some more presentations, if not a little bit before then. So we'll have that. That's moving along as it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. And now we're going to go into our reports, our status reports. Teresa?
Okay. Been a busy 2 months. Lorette and I attended the North Carolina Festival and Events Association annual conference Show Fest on January 18th through the 20th in Charlotte. At the awards luncheon, Jacksonville Onslow was recognized with 6 awards. We had the most awards from any community in North Carolina. Best T-shirt went to the Mud, Sweat, and Tears from Marsac Camp Lejeune. Best brochure went to Swansboro Historic Homes and Tour. The best poster was Crystal Coast Paddle Fest, Friends of the Hammocks Beach State Park. Green Award went to Earth and Surf Fest for Keep Onslow Beautiful. The Volunteer of the Year Award went to Joe Hoole for Run for the Warriors. And for the first time ever in our history, we brought home the North Carolina Event of the Year. National Night Out, the city of Jacksonville.
Well done.
Congratulations, y'all. We had a hotel motel meeting in February. Dawn Jensen came and presented to our group about the Engaged Wedding Expo. My assistant Stephanie Key did a presentation on how to list hospitality businesses and events on the tourism website. And we have 2 new trainings for that website listing on February 28th. At 9 a.m. and again at 4 p.m. at the Commerce Center. It should take about an hour, and all are invited, no RSVP needed. We also hosted the annual Coast Host Dinner and Awards Conference on January 22nd and 24th in Swansboro. We had about 100 attendees from eastern North Carolina. Coast Host spent about $12,000 in lodging, not in lodging, in food and catering and renting space. We had about 50 room nights. plus any expenditures by the attendees. We had a lot of positive feedback from everyone. I was really shocked and surprised about perceptions and stuff. But the fact that the Rotary Center was so close to the hotel and made it so easy for them to get from the hotel to the meeting space and stuff, which we have that problem here in Jacksonville, that was one of the things they loved about it, so that they were only on the road for 5 minutes to get from one to the other if they were staying at the hotel. One of the nice things, too, was the night before, the board had dinner over at the Saltwater Grill, and during our dinner, the mayor of Swansboro happened to be having dinner there, and he actually came over and served tea and water to our board members. And then before the end of the evening, our chairman of the county commissioners, Paul Buchanan, walked into the restaurant, and he actually sat down and spoke to almost every individual. So by the time they left, they felt so important and stuff. It was unbelievable. They kept saying, what a friendly community. Y'all all get along. What partnerships and stuff. So it was just a great feeling that they all left and went back to their homes and kind of bragged about us. So more of those events, we're working on it. We also had an event and festival planners workshop January 17th. We brought in the Deputy County Finance Director, Jessica Roberts, as our guest speaker, and she discussed the new rules and regulations regarding the grant funding for the county. We had 42 folks in attendance for that meeting. In front of you, you'll see the new visitor guide, hot off the press, just came in yesterday. I haven't even got them inside the building. They're still sitting outside. So you've got these. Anyone that needs visitor guides, we'll be delivering to the hotels and the attractions in the next couple of weeks. But if anybody needs any, just give us a call. We'll try to get them to you. Occupancy tax figures, you have those forms in front of you. Basically, we were down in November 9.7%. In December, we were down 13.3%, but we're still up for the year 2.3%. August is the only thing keeping us in there, and as you'll recall, in 2012, August, we had 30 days of rain, basically, so the kickback in 213 has kept us afloat for this year. So still working hard, but we've got to figure out some ways to fill those hotel rooms outside of what we've been doing in the past, relying on deployments in the military. So that's where we're at right now. Any questions?
Thank you, Teresa. Any questions? You've been busy.
Just a little bit. I'm going to the governor's conference next weekend, so
After the bridal show.
After the bridal show, that's right.
Lorette, anything?
Yes, as a matter of fact, thank you, and thank you for canceling the March 20th meeting. Now all of you can come to the Business Expo, and that will be at the Jacksonville.
That's why we did it.
Yes, absolutely. And just to give a little more credence to what Ashley was talking about, we're 1 month out from that expo. We are fully booked. We actually got Randy to let us squeak in 4 more booths today when we did our preliminary walkthrough. We have 106 businesses at 1 month out, and I know that you know businesses that do things last minute. So if I had a bigger facility, I could have a much bigger expo. So just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Where is it being held?
At the Jacksonville Commons.
Great. Any comments, board members? Good. Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate the report. Okay, occupancy tax collections. Right.
On your screen, you'll see, and in your book there, because of the way this meeting was put together there, we only had it through February 14th, so we really don't have January, so we don't have much to show you than what we were going to show you at the last time we were going to meet, that the snow snowed us out as it was. And of course, as you can see, over December it was about a 22% dip as it was, and for the first 6 months of this fiscal year, that's about a 4% dip as it is. The collections were as February 14th, not February 1st. That's an error here on that part there. And of course, over the trend, though, the only good news is looking back to that trend that we look at from the county collections, we are up 1% over that for the Jacksonville area facilities as it was. This is how it looks graphically for the Western Boulevard area, and I think you'll agree that's kind of the first time we've seen that dip like that. You know, the blue is where we were in FY12, and the black was FY11, and last year for 13 we kind of skated above that level. We do have some facilities that, as this was compiled, had not yet reported. Unfortunately, in the McDaniel Drive area, we had to change the scale for this to allow there, so we're hoping that picks back up, and we do have all the facilities reporting as it was. And this is all other areas within the city that we are reporting facilities. This is the total collections, and again, as you see there for the green. Overall, to the year-to-date in the compiled area, the pink, believe it or not, is still above the green overall if you look at that in the general way as it is. And that is a quick recap of the collections thus far.
Thank you, John. Any questions? Okay.
I'll go ahead and do the future reports and activities. Obviously, we want to hear anything that you have to tell us about what you want for future meetings. We can scratch off that March 20th one now. But we do want to remind you on April the 2nd at 10 a.m. Some of you have indicated you wish to come to the webinar that the School of Government is offering, and we welcome anyone to come. And
when is that?
That's Wednesday, April 2nd at 10 a.m.
That's for the
tax. Yeah, no, this is the tax. This is on authority basics, basically.
Okay.
Some of you'll know most everything that's been said. The rest of us will sit there and make sure we know enough when we get out of there. So we'll go from there. But if you want to come, if you'll call Carmela or Carolyn, we very much would like to have you be there for that as it was. We've got a good number of RSVPs thus far on that matter.
Okay.
And unless you have instructions for us as to what you would like in a future presentation.
Well, I think at this point, I think we've got our work cut out for us in terms of April is concerned, to go over all the applicants and get that program of work out of the way. So we'll wait unless there's an objection on that.
I like to know about the branding.
April? You're going to have that in April.
April, okay, thank you.
Okay. So we'll discuss that in April.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, I guess that's the business portion of the meeting. We need to entertain a motion to go into closed session, John.
Yes.
For those of you that do not want to stay, it's only for voting members.
I make a motion we enter into closed session to hear the report on litigation.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.